welcome. It is Health Hacks with Mark L. White. Oh, do we got a good show? Mark? We're going to be talking with Dr. Emily Porter, and she is Austin's love doctor, Mark. I mean, you know you're good when you're a love doctor for an entire city. And not only that, the state capital of Texas, you know you're a good love doctor if you've got that area. Mark, welcome back. Dr. Porter, welcome. It's going to be a great show. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're so excited to have Dr. Porter and Austin love doctor. I love that. First of all, is it true that everything's bigger in Texas?
You know it. It is.
So,
except our Democratic population's a little smaller than the national average, probably.
Yeah, but not in Austin.
Not in Austin. They say that it's the blueberry in this tomato soup of Texas. So,
wow, gotta try that blueberry. I've never been to Austin.
Oh, you need to come.
But I remember when you came out here about a year and a half ago with your husband.
Yeah, and I missed you the last time I was there. A few months ago, I was there, but you were out of town.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But I'm always excited to talk to you. I know that you've been great working with us out there, and you're doing some amazing things. And, when we started talking and I looked down and I see 15 minutes helped you ditch the diapers. But I think the first thing is tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you have such an interesting background.
Yeah. So I'm been a physician for, 12, 13 years now, I guess. I lose track. And initially started in emergency medicine. And that was because I thought of all the things I like to do. I don't know. I didn't really know what I want to do. It was a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I liked different aspects of all parts of medicine, but I knew I didn't want to be a surgeon. I thought I liked surgery. And then when I actually went into the operating room, it wasn't my thing. The environment wasn't great. So I did emergency medicine for a long time and enjoyed that. And then I have 4 children. So my oldest is 7 and I have a 5.5-year-old son who just turned 4 and then a little boy who is 2.5.
Wow.
So in 4 years and 2 months, so like June to August of 4 years, I had 4 babies. Like they all came out the good old fashioned way.
Wow.
and got pregnant on the honeymoon and then, it just had a big family. So I didn't leave the ER because of them, but the climate in medicine changed quite a bit. And I just wasn't happy anymore. I didn't like the care I was providing to people. Unfortunately, it became about money for the hospital, which was not anything I ever thought would be an issue as an ER doctor. Like I'm here to save your life. I'm here to save your life or let you know that you're safe to go home and sleep and follow up with your doctor, that whatever you have is not going to kill you. That's what we do, and people now, hospitals want more money. People who pay higher copays, they want you to give them a prescription for something that doesn't require a prescription because, I paid a copay. So I get that mentality because my insurance is higher than it has been. And I think everyone's unhappy, unfortunately, in the traditional healthcare field. Physicians are unhappy because there's no art of medicine. There's no healing. There's no time to talk to people anymore. It's just push, push, push. I got to where they were actually tracking every time I went to the bathroom. I had a tracking on my badge and they can tell where you are, what room you're in, how long you're there. And I did that through 4 pregnancies, 12 and 24-hour shifts, not eating, not going to the bathroom. I came home, I wasn't happy. Patients aren't happy. Nurses aren't happy. The only people that are happy are the people that are cashing the checks and the insurance companies and corporations. So something had to change. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I ended up doing aesthetics and did that for a while. And then part of my aesthetic practice was to do a lot with platelet-rich plasma for sexual dysfunction and hormones. And then
tell us a little bit about platelet-rich plasma. First of all, I do agree with you that our traditional healthcare system is influenced so much by big pharmaceutical companies and big corporations that it seems all they want to do is keep people sick and not help people stay better so they don't get sick.
Yeah. And it's expensive. People are paying more than they've ever paid. And they don't want to be on medications. And there's it's frustrating for everybody. And so I started doing some sexual wellness treatments. And then actually I had a patient that came in and he was interested in the priapus shot. And he's the one that got me to do GainsWave. because he had been educated. Patients are so smart now. They've read, especially a lot of these men, they're up at like midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 in, reading about their things. There's so much information out there on the web.
I wonder why it is that 2 in guys are reading this and not like 3 PM. What do you think happens before that?
I think that they tried to have sex with their wife and it didn't work, or they were going to have sex with their wife and she didn't want to have sex. And so they're just having insomnia and their wife is asleep and there's some shame involved. And that's when they hit the computer. Cause almost all of my leads, for men, they almost all come in the middle of the night. Almost
yeah, always. It's amazing how that works. They're out there blogging. But for people who don't know, what is the Priapus shot? PRP, platelet-rich plasma.
Yeah. So he wanted one of those, and then we ended up I ended up getting trained and doing Gainswave on him instead. But so the Priapus shot and anything with platelet-rich plasma, PRP, it's basically your own blood. You take a vial or two of your own blood, whole blood, it's red, and then it's in a special kind of tube. And there's a process that happens with the centrifuge that spins it down, and it separates the blood from the plasma, which is the sort of yellow goo. And inside the yellow goo, it has platelets, which are clotting cells, but they also hold these little growth factors for stem cells. So if you fall and skin your knee and you get a scab, and you know the yellow goo underneath the scab, if you pick it, and that yellow goo is basically PRP. And what happens when that scab falls off? Well, most of the time it doesn't scar. Most of the time your knee ends up with normal skin. You can still feel it when you touch. It looks normal. It feels normal. It's not cold or hot. It feels the same temperature as your skin. So the stem cells came in that were recruited there and they healed a wound. So what we do with the Priapus shot, for example, is we take some man's own blood and we spin it down, and then we end up injecting it back into their genital tissue with a tiny, tiny little Botox needle to create a false wound to recruit blood stem cells. So to get new blood vessel growth, to get new nerves, to get increase in sensation and blood flow, but doing it very naturally without any chemicals. It's just your own blood going right back into you. We do the same thing for women.
Okay, as a guy, I'm going, ow, that sounds like it's really painful. And is it worth the pain? And does it take forever?
No. So the whole thing, once we put some numbing cream on, and then we draw your blood, and you feel the blood stick, the needle stick from the blood, and that hurts more than anything else that we do. Put the numbing cream on. I do a little injection to numb the nerves. There's some nerves that run down the penis that we numb when we do a circumcision, for example. And I always tell people, look, if your son could get a circumcision and that be okay and not have pain, if you've watched a circumcision, then we can certainly put a couple of Botox needles.
When my son had a circumcision, he was 8 days old. So
did Briss.
Yeah. So if he had any pain, he didn't. He just cried a lot.
Yeah, I think
that's what I would do in this surgery. It sounds like, but no, it's not that bad.
No, it's a 5-minute thing. Once I have your blood and you're numb and you're clean, it's a couple of injections and it takes about 5 minutes. Afterward, the men use something called the vacuum erectile device, or a penis pump, kind of colloquially, which I believe you discussed with Dr. Brandeis on your last episode. And that helps that gel matrix of the platelets sort of set up, and it helps strengthen the muscles there. So it's a great treatment. That's what we do for men. And then we have the equivalent kind of thing for women, but it's to treat different things for women.
Do you see a lot of couples that come to you? Do you do like like they have the his and hers massage? Have you ever done like a his and her O shot, P shot?
Yes,
you're the love doctor.
That's so a date.
Yep. Yeah. So I actually am going. I was invited to a wedding of one of those couples 2 weeks ago, and in a week and a half, I'm going to another wedding. They actually just had a baby. They're in their third. She was 40, and she got an O shot and a Diva laser treatment, vaginal laser treatment. Got pregnant, and then her fiance wanted he was like, well, I want to be the best I can for her, and her sex is so much better than what it was. What can you do for me? So I have several couples that I do that for, do hormones for together. And I think that's a really important piece of this, is that a lot of times there's a mismatch where I hear the woman has no libido, but she does it because she feels like she has to, because she loves her husband. And that was me, right? So I love my husband. I had nothing after my children. My testosterone was undetectable. And I didn't even know that was a thing because nobody ever talked to me about it. And it started to affect my marriage because it was like, I went from being the person that was, hey, like, you want to get lucky tonight, to being like, just nothing. And there were no marital problems. And I sought advice from friends. And I think women do that. Everyone kind of wants to normalize themselves, and women like to empathize. That's what we do in bathrooms when it's taking so long. That's what we go to pedicures and get coffee for and lunch. And so you kind of ask around until you find out whether other people are in your same situation. And you just keep asking until you find somebody that's in the same situation. Unfortunately, in America anyway, a lot of women are me. They were 36 years old. They don't know what happened, but they don't really have a sex drive anymore. And after a while, it starts to affect their marriage like it did mine. It wasn't that I wanted to sleep with somebody else. I don't want to sleep with anybody. And I didn't know what happened. And nobody told me that. Nobody ever told me that birth control pills would kill my libido. Nobody ever told me. I fortunately wasn't on any antidepressants. I wasn't on any blood pressure medications or anything like that. But all of those medications, they all can affect libido. And unfortunately, we were talking about the climate of medicine certainly not going to happen in an ER, but even in a yearly exam with a gynecologist or a yearly exam with your primary care doctor, they don't have enough time to talk to you anymore. And the Me Too movement has made it very difficult for people to approach the subject of sex. And it's becoming very difficult to have these conversations. So that's part of where Austin Love Doctor came from, is I want to kind of reach out to the country and let people know, like, we need to talk about this.
Can I ask a quick question about the libido thing? Because is it something that just slowly disappears and you don't even notice it? Is it one day gone? What are you finding, and what would help somebody that's going, gosh, something's weird here?
Well, the most common thing that I have people say is, I don't feel like myself. That's what they come in. People don't start with me. They've already been to their primary care doctor. They've already been to their gynecologist, and they've been told that everything's normal. And they're like, it's not normal because I shouldn't feel this way. I didn't feel this way. They don't know when it happened. Usually it's been a year or 2 or 3 or 10. I have people that hadn't had sex in 10 years.
Wow.
10 years, 6 years, 8 years. What that does to a marriage. And unfortunately, people who have lost their spouses as a result of libido mismatch and things. So I have people cry in my office every day. Sad tears, happy tears. I think I get a group discount or bulk discount on Kleenex now from Costco. But there's somebody there to listen to them. And I think that is so huge, because a lot of them won't even talk about it with their spouse. They don't want to talk. They love their spouse, but they're ashamed to even talk about it with their spouse, let alone they tried to maybe talk to their doctor or their girlfriend, and nobody hears them. Nobody can relate. Everyone just says, oh, it's normal.
That's actually that's so rewarding if you think about it, because like you said, doctors don't address it. I mean, we hear about Viagra for men, but there is no Viagra for women. When a woman loses her sex drive, I mean, what is the O shot the best treatment for a woman? Does it increase her libido? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Okay. So there is one pill for women, but nobody's ever heard of it, right? Like, everyone heard about Viagra before it ever came out, and it's actually an antidepressant, and you have to take it every single day. It's extremely expensive, several $100s a month. And what the research, you can't drink with it, which a lot of people drink.
Kind of defeats the purpose, huh?
Right. And yeah, like they make you sign something saying you will die if you drink a beer and take this medication.
Is it really that bad?
It's either sex or a beer, huh?
Right. It doesn't really work. The studies have all shown that if you take, it's called flibanserin, and if you take Addy, that's the trade name, you have sex like 1 time more per month than the people who weren't taking it. So for most people, that's $800 is pretty expensive to have sex one more time. It doesn't say that the sex is better. So libido is complicated. It's testosterone is a huge component of it. And I'm hoping that eventually the FDA and the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists will start to speak out. The endocrinologists will speak out and recognize that testosterone in women and low testosterone is a real thing. It's a very prevalent thing, and that it's really upsetting to women to lose their libido. And so testosterone decreases with women starting at 20. So that happens to be when a lot of people start to have their children, 20s and 30s. And so they think they just attribute it to their children or to their 7-year itch in their marriage or their careers taking off or whatever. And nobody wants to say like, this is actually a chemical imbalance. This is actually a hormone deficiency. So replacing testosterone is huge because it's the same thing with GainsWave, right? I check testosterone in everybody when I do GainsWave because I say we can wax the car all day long, but if we don't have any gas in it, it's not going to go.
I love that. How many guys don't have the gas that you wax?
A lot. And symptoms don't necessarily correlate with testosterone. My husband didn't have any ED issues. So I was always like, we're not checking your testosterone. Like you have too much libido already. And his was low.
That's what my wife says.
And his was low. And there's low and there's optimal. And we could get into the whole Bayesian curves. And I want everyone to be an A student I'm the teacher. I want all my students to be A students. So I try to get everyone to the upper limit of normal. So back to the O-shot and libido. One of the things, so O-shot is basically platelet-rich plasma for a woman. And so it's injected into the clitoris. So it helps people fall asleep.
Really?
Yes. Botox hurts more than what I do. I have people ask me when I'm going to get started, and I'm already done.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do women ever get orgasms while you're treating them, or does a guy ever get an erection while you're treating them?
No to the orgasm while I'm treating the women. I've had people that evening or like that afternoon for that. FemiWave, we've had some people get kind of stimulated. And then with men, erections are pretty common with GainsWave. Like, really? And I tell people, you know what I say? I go, cool. Like, that's the goal, right? That's what we're here for. I tell them it's
working right away.
It's working. Like, yeah, you're getting your money's worth. And I tell them it's like, I'm a chef and I have a busy restaurant and it's 11 o'clock and I have no idea how the night went. I was just, busting my butt all night. And you look out and everyone's plates are clean. They're sitting at their table and everything's clean. And you like kind of pat yourself on the back and you go, well, I guess they enjoyed the food. Like if you get an erection and you're here to get erections, then I'm doing my job. That's what it's supposed to happen is we're supposed to be promoting erections. And so for women, I haven't had that happen for women, but anyway. So O-shot, yeah. You were asking.
I just said what was on my mind. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what you should do. So libido and O-shot for women. So another real reason to get it is incontinence. So women don't want to talk about it, but they wet their pants. Yeah. A lot. Yes. Yeah, they do. And one of the problems with all this, these statistics is if you look, for example, at Peyronie's disease, anywhere between 3 and 40% of men have it. Like that's a huge range. Same thing for women with incontinence. Anywhere from 4 to 70% of women have it.
Wow. Do you think that range is because, like with Peyronie's disease, I know the reason is guys don't like to talk about it.
Yes. Women don't like to talk about it either. There's no time to talk about it. Their doctors aren't asking. And the way they come up with those numbers is based on people coding things for insurance.
Right. So what is Peyronie's disease? I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
We don't have half an hour. We got to get back to our female.
But next time Dr. Porter's on the show, we can talk all about Peyronie's disease.
I treat a lot of Peyronie's disease and I have some novel methods of treating it. So I'll be happy, Rusty, to talk all about an entire episode about Peyronie's disease. Okay. But so women don't talk about it and nobody's asking them and people aren't coding those diagnoses. So there's kind of incontinence is when people leak urine. And it's not fun because it's peeing your pants, which wasn't fun when you were a kid. So why would it be fun when you're an adult? And one of the main ones is stress incontinence. What does that mean? That's pressure on your bladder causes your bladder to leak some urine. So that can be from jumping, like a jumping jack or CrossFit or riding a horse. It can be just that. There's lots of different, or coughing, sneezing, all those things. And then they have some urine leak. And it gets worse as you get older. And part of that is because estrogen helps sort of support the tissue to keep it plump so that there's less room for things to move around. Obesity or being overweight, which is a continually worsening problem in America and worldwide, puts more pressure on the bladder. That's a problem. As you age, your muscles get weaker. And then there's lifestyle things, caffeine, alcohol, smoking. So lots of reasons. And childbirth, menopause, all these things that can cause women to have incontinence. But a lot of them don't even know that there's anything to do about it. They never talk about it with their doctor, and they don't even know that there's anything to do about it. If they do talk about it with their doctor, their surgeon wants to operate and wants to do a big procedure with mesh. And then they watch TV and they hear all about how mesh can cause all these complications, and they get scared. And so they never do anything about it.
You think that's all because of the money? That's why they want to do the operation? Or
no, I think that I don't think that's it at all. I think that physicians gynecologists are surgeons. They're cutters. I think that traditional medicine, we want to have a lot of statistics. Mm-hmm. And as we've just said, we have problems with statistics in that sexual health because people don't bring it up. You can know how many positive pregnancy tests there were in a year, how many miscarriages there were in a year. If people report them, how many stillbirths there were, because all those things get reported epidemiology wise. But physicians want a randomized controlled study showing that if I do this to somebody and maybe cause them some pain, it's going to work. And data, I think Dr. Brandeis discussed with you, is very difficult to collect in these situations. So I don't think it's doctors wanting more money. I think that's what they know. That's what they're taught. It's what they're trained in their residencies. And we don't have a lot of time to go back and do continuing medical education. Usually things are 20 years behind Europe. And so things they've been doing in other places, we're way behind before we start to adopt those things, like the O shot, for example.
So how well does the O shot work for urinary incontinence?
Well, and what we do, so the one injection's in the clitoris, and then the second injection. So this is your urethra. I'm going to make I think this helps, right? So you have a tube that you pee out of, and then underneath you have some tissue that sort of supports it like this. Okay. And
so if somebody's listening to this podcast, what we're looking at looks like a straw kind of.
Yes. This is just a straw from my iced coffee and then my hand. So there's some support underneath it. And as you age, there becomes a space now underneath this valve or this tube where your urine comes out, and you have your bladder on top. And what happens is if somebody sneezes, now this can tip open and now urine can leak out. And so what we do with the O shot is we fill this space underneath the straw, under the urethra. We fill the space that has been created there to kind of put some support on the urethra. So when somebody sneezes or coughs or jumps or whatever, the tube can't leak open and they don't leak urine. So there's an injection inside the vagina right near the G spot, right where the urethra is too. It really doesn't hurt. I promise you.
Oh, good.
And it works. I would say 90+% of the time, one O shot. So it takes 5 minutes to do it, like 10 minutes to numb and draw blood. And we'll get people dry, women dry for, a year to a year and a half in 15 minutes in probably 90 to 95% of people that I treat.
Wow. Are most women coming to you for the urinary incontinence or for better sexual wellness and to improve sexual function?
Most of the people that come to me are coming because they just feel tired, feel like something's not right. It's libido, it's low energy. And then when they do an intake form, then we happen to find out that, they're having incontinence or they're dry, or they've heard somebody that had treatment like breast cancer. The O shot also helps with lubrication. So if somebody's had breast cancer and or any sort of cancer or chemo or radiation, and they're very dry or they're having painful sex, and they have a libido, but now it hurts so much, we can do an O shot and restore their vaginal lubrication without using any hormones. So that's a huge one. And then we can add laser in there too to do more of the same thing.
Well, let me ask you, if a woman comes to you, first thing you do is optimize hormones, or when a guy comes to you, you optimize hormones first. Do you do the P shot, O shot first? You do it, are they synergistic? Do you do them at the same time?
It kind of depends on what their goals are. Obviously, we know that combination treatment generally works better than any sort of standalone treatment, right? So if you want to get healthy, then you have to eat well and do cardio and do strength training like that. You're going to be, and quit smoking and drink more water, right? Mm-hmm. Any one of those things is great, but put them all together is better. So I almost always draw testosterone on any patient that comes in with any sort of sexual dysfunction whatsoever. And then we just sort of prioritize it. Sometimes it comes down to budget. Sometimes it comes down to goals. what do they want to get fixed first? What bothers them the most? And then some people are deathly afraid of needles no matter what I say. So we give them other options. I kind of throw out some different options that I know treat people and see how severe their condition is and say, these are all the things I could do for you. This is the order that I think you should do them in. At least don't do something that's going to be undone by something else. And then just kind of work with them and let them sort of pick and choose. So
you went from the ER to becoming Austin's love doctor. I mean, just like, what did your colleagues say? Like your people that are in the ER, are they looking at you thinking you're nuts, or like,
no,
tell me like, I think that's so cool, but that's just a neat transition. So
everybody sees me and says, you look amazing. You seem so happy. And I am. I have so much professional gratification now. It's not about getting chocolates or getting invited to weddings, but it's about changing people's lives. The power to be able to take a couple that hasn't had sex in 12 years and have them go on a cruise and tell me that they hardly left the room other than to eat. That's huge. And so I'm super happy. I'm healthier than I've ever been. And I think that rate that, shows to other people that know me, because I love what I do again. And I knew I wanted to be a doctor when I was 9 years old. Never in a million years did I think I would be sitting here podcasting about, putting scab goo in people's penises and genitals.
Not to mention when we were young, they didn't have podcasting, but
right.
or goo
or any of that. But I think that times are changing, and I think that I just try to inspire people. And the biggest thing is, everyone's always saying you should write a book. You should all your stories. You should talk about your stories. And so I share my story with people. I share the time that I had my first baby, and when she was 6 weeks old, I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm going, take her. And I go to hand her to her husband, and I completely wet the floor all over, and had to clean the floor up. And I think that that's the big thing with Austin Love Doctor is I'm somebody that will listen, and I will share my own experience and any sort of other stories with, protecting privacy and just getting the word out, just letting people know that this stuff even exists, because their regular doctor's not going to do it in a 15-minute office visit. It's not going to happen.
Well, first of all, you look amazing.
Thank you.
But if somebody wants more, if they want to listen to their stories, if they want to get more information, how do they get in contact with you?
So I host my own podcast. It's if you just go on any podcast player or I use my iPhone, there's the podcast app. It's Austin Love Doctor. Anywhere you can get a podcast, it's there. It's called Austin Love Doctor, Marriage, Sex, and Intimacy Solutions with Dr. Emily Porter. And I talk about a variety of different topics. Or I have a website, which is austinlovedoctor.com. And on there, we have a thing where it's like Ask the Love Doctor. And if people have specific questions that they want addressed in a podcast, they can put in there. And we're all over Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook too.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And I can't wait to see you. I have to come out to your Blueberry.
Definitely.
In Texas. So thank you so much.
It's a little hot. Come out in the fall.
And by the way, the most important question is, where is the best barbecue in Austin, according to Dr. Porter?
Oh goodness, we don't like sauce on our barbecue. So
I know. You got some good ones there, though.
It's a toss-up between Franklin's and Salt Lick and probably Rudy's for me.
And so you'll stand in line for 3 hours, huh?
And people pay somebody to do that. I'm not in the summer. I'm not standing in line for it.
Well, thank you very much for watching. You've been watching Health Hacks with Mark L. White, our guest today, Dr. Emily Porter, AustinLoveDoctor.com. You can also find out more about Mark L. White at marklwhite.com. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll check us out next time here. And don't forget to subscribe to Health Hacks with Mark L. White, either on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or any place podcasts are found.
Thank you so much.